Whew.
How they gonna know where you going?
I shared it in an announcement. Don't they get an email and it's new on the do you guys talk to any of them? Tell them to check their announcements.
Like on the lesson plans, how it says like creating group guidelines. So I just put group guidelines and then put what I wrote.
Yeah, you could have the guidelines or you produce it by communicating with us because that's
Right.
actually what they do on group meeting number 1. Like, let's make our own rules. You guys all tell us how you want this group to run. What are the rules? Like, nobody talks at the same time. Stuff is due at this time. Things like that. That's
Okay,
usually
so I can really just keep my notes that I've written out and just kind of freestyle how I got it.
you could see if Karen.
How long does that have to be? Is it like a time limit?
So here's how I do it to keep it real with you guys.
Isn't there like a,
When you bill, the minimum you can bill for is like 15 to 25 minutes. What were you going to ask?
isn't there like a rubric
Yeah,
on the syllabus?
yeah. But if you went 23 minutes, you're allowed to bill for 30 minutes. So say you work for a social work agency, you're running a group. So I'd say 15 to 20 minutes, just so you got a real feel for how long a group should take. Normal groups are an hour long, and that's why it's so important to, cover all your bases on that stuff. Because when I had to run a trauma group, it had to go at least 53 minutes, and that's hard. Like, imagine having to run the group.
Now, once I get them talking, I think the hardest part is
Yes.
starting. Once you get them talking,
True. Yeah, they'll chat up a storm if you let them. Like, people will talk and talk and talk. Eat your lunch.
I ate a hamburger earlier this week.
Oh, that's what I missed right here. See that? Cardboard legs stink. I know. That's what you're supposed to eat a lot of. But did you say why?
You're supposed to do a lot of work.
Like when you're doing a keto diet or like no sugar diet, it's tough. So let's go back to one of those groups or the self-care stuff that you guys were doing. You haven't done any self-care?
Hmm?
Have you ever done self-care? Why is it? Like when you're stressed out, what do you go and do to like calm down? I think, what's that? Stay in your room. But you do something in there usually. Don't you have a roommate?
Yeah.
But they're never there.
He doesn't leave.
So you're both in there hanging out.
Yeah, but she's working, like, she's on her own thing,
Okay.
and I'm doing mine, so.
Okay.
I'm gonna do-
Right. I still can't believe that channel got a strike. I feel like there's 2 strikes on that channel now. When do they take you down? When do they delete you? That's my question.
I mean, it takes a lot for them to leave because they're
Because they make money off of it.
yeah.
Yes.
Remember, it's just like, they pick and choose what to do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they could be like, oh, after so many strikes, you can go to like 10 strikes. And they'd be like, okay.
10?
I mean, well, yeah.
Really? I thought they would shut you down before that. You know?
Not really, but you gotta feel it.
That's what I'm wondering if my appeal would even. So here's my $1 million question here too. How do these stupid things work? Oh, I think there's like a. Oh, it's fake. It's fake salt and pepper.
Who did it?
I thought I had stuff in here. I was about to put it on my.
Oh, it's not real. Oh, it's fake. Oh, wow.
I got fooled. Well, God, I should take. Huh? Kroger's. I thought for sure that was
Were they cheap?
like a few bucks. I still thought that would cover salt and pepper.
I thought it was.
I did too.
You kept twisting it, but nothing was coming out.
Nope, not today. That's okay. So most of you are leading stuff off of the peer relationships. Are you doing the girl circle?
I'm doing the men's circle.
Right. So you could steal the curriculum from girl
Yeah,
circle.
that's what I'm doing. I'm using the lesson plan for week 1,
Right.
and I'm just importing like the men's circle stuff that I want to put.
Okay.
You see deep. I just see topics.
On this thing, I'll show you where it says week. So, well, week 3, that's one example. That's on page 27. If you want all of them, you start off here on girl circle, and then here's the welcome, and then there's the 10 weeks. So you're doing 3, you said, or you're doing 10? I think you don't know which one you're doing.
I'm doing week 1.
Week 1. So that's from pages 13 to 19.
I'm doing boundaries. Which one is that? I don't know.
Values,
Boundaries.
like,
I don't know. I feel
That's from 13 to 18.
okay. We've got labels, express myself, accepting all different parts of myself, cultivating respect, giving voice to feelings, romantic
I'm halfway done with it.
relationships.
Yeah, I'm halfway done with it.
I don't know which one is boundaries.
I don't know what this is. This doesn't look like the one I got.
You probably have the big manual that's actually called Girl Circle. So this is like the Cliff Notes. You have where folks go into Girl Circle. One other thing you do when you create your group, this could go into the final paper, but you have to recruit for them. So this is how we recruited at Lighthouse. It said Girl Circle presented by Lighthouse. And it says Girl Circle therapy groups are evidence-based, promising best practice approach with rich skill building themes and activities to promote critical thinking in all areas of girls' lives. The strengths-based skills building approach creates a safe space for girls to address risky behaviors, build on protective factors, and to improve relationships. So you probably have, let me search up Girl Circle here. This is probably the big one I sent you. This is what you have. The facilitator manual is 200 pages long. Is that what you're looking at? And you're doing boundaries, but keep in mind, if you go from here over to, well, this is the flyer you guys would create. It has like dates and times and, oh yeah, even ages. So 9 to 13 in Real Dad's conference room, and then 14 to 18 goes in the second floor media room. But this is like the Cliff Notes, because see how this is how I run it. Like he's doing week 1. Here's the format. So it covers like opening ritual, introduce your theme, check-in activity, and then share activity, close. You're on this one. You're probably doing, you said boundaries. Do I have to search it? Or do you know what page it's on? So boundaries would probably be like romantic relationships. It's not always, but I would say that romantic relationships will definitely have boundaries in there. So you're probably in here on boundaries. It's
Did you put them in announcements?
I did. I shared both of these on announcements.
I was having trouble finding it too. I ain't even gonna cut.
That's why I am not certified to teach online. That's exactly why I'm not
I
certified.
couldn't imagine taking an online class.
I would lose my mind. I took one ever, and I think I got a C in 2001. Mm-mm. You found it?
Mhm.
So what page do you think it's on? Hey, there's resources for boys right here. Look at that. Page 168. I don't see where boundaries is, but that's okay. A lot of times you're talking about boundaries in the first place. That's why like girls get stressed out. They aren't setting proper boundaries. Why boys get stressed out. Like maybe somebody thinks they can just come into your room, eat all your shit, drink all your lemonade, and then walk out. You know? And then you get pissed at them, you punch them in the face, and then you get in trouble. You know what I mean? That's where boundary setting would be important. Here's some on affirmations, women and money. That would be an interesting one. Page 116. I always want to look that one up because that's something that, let's see here. Page 116. Does your stuff on boundaries say what page it is?
Oh, it's been 27. Oh, no, 97.
97?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, look at that. Is this it? Is this it?
Mhm.
I wonder if each section has a topic that covers boundaries. Oh,
I think you would write paperwork for like the question.
right. But did you notice I was trying to go to 116 that's different inside of this than it is on the side? So if I actually wanted to go to 116 right here, here it is, women and money. Expressions such as time is money, money is power, and money doesn't grow on trees are frequently overheard. Money, along with sex and the division of labor, are common sources of stress and conflict in most relationships. Do you guys find that to be true? Is that true in undergraduate too?
Wait,
Money, along with sex, division of labor, are often common sources of stress, of conflict in relationships.
Yes.
Because it comes up all the time with when you're married, that take care of the kids, pays them, and who does anything else.
They're gonna join account. Okay, we're all like bills and paying for stuff. And then
So
you have
some
to
people
separate.
don't think like some people don't think it's smart like that. So
They separate their accounts.
yeah, people separate it's not smart at all. I mean, you should have a separate account. Like my people they have a separate account, and then they got an account together, and then like with funds with all of it. So
So the next one says percentage of women in positions of management, business, and MBA programs as a corporation executives are the largest subgroup of adults as head of household implies both women's capacities and necessities to make financial decisions. So in this one, they say describe social and cultural beliefs about women and money, explore women's varied relationship with money, real and desire, identify obstacles women face towards having a healthy relationship with money. Like what do people have about women and money? What do you guys think?
I don't know. I can say all women or like just by watching. I don't know. It's just like with money. Like, I don't know. For like relationships. I guess one thing was that like women weren't allowed to really have control over women like they did, but they didn't at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
can you like restate the question? Like what was it again?
What beliefs do people have about women and money?
I think now with this generation, in terms of speaking as a man, I think in terms of the generation, I think women having their own and just being able to provide to and bring something to the table. Me as being a man, I feel like women should, bring their own, so we're getting out that standard that men gotta break things back 6 jobs at a time, things around that nature. So I feel like as men now are growing, I feel like that we want a woman that can also, yes, we want to be providers, but also being able to bring something to the table for us both to be successful and bring to our families.
Mm-hmm. It's tough because they talk about division of labor, and I'm thinking for myself, one of us has to stay home with the kids. I've offered, but I think my wife might only make 20 some an hour. You're a pharmacy tech that's what she did for years. And she's finishing her degree. She did want to go on in pharmacy. So we decided she would stay home. But I see her right now. What was it? I need to leave. I can't be here. She sent that recently. I didn't watch this one. I guess the kids are being bad. Because it's hard physical labor to
It is hard.
wrangle the kids and
it's just a decision that has to be made. Like, somebody has to go make the money.
And so
my dad works like super duper late. He'll go in at like 6, he won't get back to like 9 or 10. So he'll probably miss like, moments with my little brothers, but he still has to go. My mom works till 5 though.
Right.
So, like she works in the field,
so she can get them off on the bus maybe or make them a dinner.
And when he gets home, he helps out.
Yeah. And then it says what different kinds of relationships do women have with money? What are the conditions or constraints that make it tough for women to feel effective with their money matters? The truth is my wife wouldn't make enough to cover the kids, even if she had 3 jobs like I did. There would not be enough money made. She is finishing her degree. So that's being put out there, but I didn't realize these actually had worksheets you guys could print out for some of your group too. That's kind of cool. This is called the Girl Circle Facilitator Manual.
Hey, where is it at? Can I
It's probably the first one that I sent ever in announcements. But I could send
if
it.
you email it?
Yeah, that would be easier.
If you email that to me, can I use that manual to use my guideline for my men's circle? Because I prefer like writing. I don't really presentations. I prefer having it writing. I can lead that way.
How does your email start with?
T Robinson. You should know my.
Is it 1?
No, 2.
See, it goes to my A. That is the first one.
Yeah, we've been emailing.
Send it anyway. So, yeah, those are some of the. I didn't realize they had that for all of them. Like, and then having a co-facilitator, which is what I had to do. One thing that sucked about having a co-facilitator is if you have a slacker co-facilitator. You guys ever had that when you do group work?
Yes.
If somebody doesn't do shit.
But I'm the type of person though. Even if you ain't gonna do that, you ain't gonna kill my bird. So I just.
You just do it for them.
Gotta lock in.
I know. And that's the problem though. So partly why I don't do as much with teams and co-facilitators, because I know there's always one that busts their ass and then there might be one that doesn't do crap.
But I can say I haven't had that problem with
Here. That's good.
It's not, you can't just copy off somebody initially.
Right.
You gotta have the heart.
Yes. I agree.
Social work not necessarily hard. You just gotta use your brain a little bit. Right?
Mhm.
Writing is the hardest part.
There is a lot to write too.
Yeah, facts. Like making it make sense. Like you might have it all in your head. I'm the type of person like I know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about it, but like trying to write it to where it makes sense in essay format. It's the hardest part for me. I do good on my essays, but it's still hard for me. I overthink. But
Because it doesn't
that's what I'm
all be
saying,
the
like,
same.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I'll forget to implement some periods because I type like, oh yeah.
Yeah, as you
I
get
feel
it
like I
done.
moved it.
And then they're better at editing maybe or something of that nature. So
I thought they have that editing thing, y'all would, that whole paper would have a whole bunch of grammar errors. Y'all wouldn't even know.
mhm.
I want it, I'm turning it.
We've already done the forming group. The second part is then you have storming and norming in the group. And this, I hate when it shows it really small. I want it big like that. Okay, let's go back one. There we go. So, oh yeah, when you play it, but essentially you're going to identify the behavior considered resistance during the storming stage, because you'll have, especially when you're in social work, the kids are diagnosed with something in your group for a reason. So maybe they're in there for causing trouble at school. Maybe they got arrested and are on probation, have to finish it. And see what their behavior, how they're resisting your group. That's the resistance. See what she says here.
We look at the objectives for the week. I want to remind you to review the chapters for the week prior to viewing the lecture, as it is intended to supplement your reading. By the end of the week, you should be able to identify behavior that may be considered resistance during the storming stage, describe how peer relationships develop in the norming stage, and distinguish among the first stages of groups, including forming, storming, and norming.
So they'll resist you in so many different ways. Maybe it's that they're, making distractions, making noises, doing different things to just not even have the group run, like trying to sabotage. But we try to identify those. When I ran a trauma group at Lighthouse, they actually made it that the counselor had to pick the kid and put them in the group. And the kid had to want to be in the group. So if the kid didn't want to be in the trauma group, we actually would ask them to come back next semester. Like if you're not ready, you don't want to go, you may do sabotage behavior. So that's why they mention this resistance piece. So I want to see what she says here. This one's a little bit longer, but.
So first today we will look at the storming stage and talk a little bit about member behavior here. As the group transitions from the initial forming stage to the next stage, which is storming, group members may begin to compete with one another to find their place in the group. Peer relationships may be uncomfortable as the group struggles over power and control, and may be characterized by anxiety, resistance, defensiveness, conflict, and confrontation. The storming stage helps bridge the group closer to a time of productivity, and although it may be uncomfortable, it is necessary in the development of a successful group. Primary tension is what members are likely to experience during the first session, and primary tension is concerned with the kind of awkwardness that comes with strange situations. Secondary tension, in contrast, deals with intra-group conflict and is what we see in the storming stage. With the help of group leaders, members work through non-productive ways of relating and begin to establish new patterns and a role in the group. The issue of power is central to the storming stage and refers to the capacity to bring about certain intended consequences in the behavior of others. In response to the struggle for power, group members may at first attempt to address the issue through old approaches, like fighting or withdrawing. And because members are still just beginning to get to know one another, there's very little trust established in the group during the storming stage. Members may exhibit resistance to change through behaviors like intellectualizing, questioning, or advice giving, as well as band-aiding, where members prevent others from expressing their emotional pain by trying to soothe a calm member who may actually benefit from exploring themselves more deeply. Other resistant behavior may be seen through dependency, or members who monopolize group time, and also through an attack on the group leader, which may come as a result of subgrouping, fear of intimacy, or extra-group socializing.
So those are all the things you'll see with kids or adults or whomever you're leading your group with. They could question what you're doing in the first place. They might try to give advice to other members, especially in addictions groups. They'll be like, I think you should go to 90 meetings in 90 days, or be like, go to your Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, or right before step inventory. And then, monopolizing is where sometimes you have to set a time limit on how long they're talking for, because otherwise they may like just dominate the whole group. And it could go so far as to attack on the group leader, which would be you guys. So if you're being attacked, that's one of the behaviors that they'll show that can be challenged.
There are many strategies for working through the interpersonal and intrapersonal group issues that occur during the storming stage, which may include inviting a process observer to come provide feedback on what he or she sees occurring within the group. This neutral third party can help spark conversations, which might allow members to attempt to change behaviors or modify ways of interacting. Working through the storming stage will result in members having a greater capacity for productive work by having established emotional space for one another. The interdependency among group members and the stability of the group as a whole cannot deepen until issues within the group surface are acknowledged and are dealt with. The work that occurs during the storming stage allows for the group to progress to the norming stage, and ultimately this is the work that allows for productivity and success in the long term.
So you're always going to have some form of storming. You're going to have folks that kind of resist, especially if they're court ordered. So think about that. They're at an addictions group or an Alcoholics Anonymous group. They don't want to be there in the first place. So they're going to show resistance in different ways that could be, seen as them not wanting to be there. And then after that, they'll shift to norming. Like maybe that's just their initial resistance and fighting it. Then they go to norming, where it's like they learn how to be here and now and be supportive and empathize.
As we move into the norming stage, group norming refers to the we-ness that describes group identity or cohesiveness that's now possible once the group has resolved the storming stage. During this stage, peer relationships are categorized by an increased sense of identification, where members begin to see themselves as being similar to one another. Members are also more likely to work harmoniously with each other, displaying high levels of cooperation and collaboration during the stage. Cohesion describes a sense of groupness that promotes high morale, trust, and solidarity. Cohesive groups are more effective in their communication patterns and also tend to have more fun, but there can also be pitfalls. For instance, a group that's highly cohesive may avoid addressing anything that could potentially be upsetting in an attempt to maintain that positive atmosphere. But ultimately, this detracts from the overall success of the group and its members. With respect to tasks, during the norming stage, group members learn to regulate, evaluate, and coordinate their efforts. They do so by showing support, empathizing, facilitating discussion, and providing self-disclosures which reveal information about themselves to other group members. The norming stage results in a group that feels connected and is able to move on to concentrate on being productive rather than protecting themselves. Norming allows group members to clear their minds, reassess their goals, feel good about themselves, and make new plans for the working stage of the group.
So they mention self-disclosure in here. Have you guys ever heard when it is okay to self-disclose? You're allowed when you lead groups, they say self-disclosure is okay only when.
I'm about to steal that. That's the word for it, though. Because I couldn't figure out a word to say, like, if, I wanted to, opinions. You can say your opinions, but self-disclosure is like the correct time.
Telling your own story. So like as the group leader, you self-disclose only when it's beneficial to another group member. Like if they're in recovery and maybe you've got a few years of recovery over them and then you're talking about how you did it, like did 90 meetings in 90 days. Or it's maybe a divorce support group. Maybe you can talk about like when I went through my divorce, this happened and we were able to work through it that way. That's when you self-disclose. How many hours do you guys need to be juniors? Is it 60?
Yeah.
60 flat? That's what your mom was all excited about when we got you right at 60 on the nose. With
Yeah. So that's about to blow me. What's about this? Also, I found out more about the fellowship. So I guess it's through you guys. You guys have to get it finalized.
Well, it's through Perdomo. He's the lead on it. He's the chair of our
I didn't know
department.
it was through Perdomo. Because even if I sign, it still has to go through you guys. It has to all the way through.
The money has to go through us and our department. And as far as he's saying right now, Ohio has not given us any money.
That's what these guys was saying.
Yeah,
Might as well just wait.
right. You guys could apply, especially if you're in the dashboard. Did they add you to like where you put up your resume and your class you've taken?
You have to sign the papers. You also sign it today. So I told them to Jackson.
Oh, so they have the contract on there too? Are you on the website that she created for it or what?
No website. All I know is they're giving out papers that you have to sign with all the information about it.
It basically says I will work for a community behavioral health center for
Pretty much.
12 months after I graduate.
Pretty much that, and then you gotta get an internship.
And the internship is at a community behavioral health center, which I bet Nikita has 2 or 3 of those. Okay.
But I told her I wasn't filling it out until I found out the question I needed.
Right.
Figured out, like, how many hours are we working, like, when does it start, like, I need to know the details. I'm not signing the paper without details.
Because you would do your internship next year anyway, right?
That's what she's saying. We can't even do our hours we need to.
But say they have 45 students and they're dividing up
She
$30,000.
said that we're trying to use all of the
Right. Yeah, they definitely are. So 300,000 divided by 45 is what, 7,000? I would have to ask Siri about that because that's how much money you would get at maximum. Let's say 300,000 divided by 45. Divided by 45 juniors and seniors. I think it's more like 50. So 6,000, say you get it over 3 semesters. You get 2,000 this semester.
Like
2,000.
almost like work study. Work study we get $2,000.
Yeah, but this is for
Like real life.
guaranteeing you will. She's saying, of course the baby's mad. I have to go home. So 2,000, 2,000, 2,000, because we can't give any money out after 12 months from now. And then we have to write a report up saying what you guys did with the money. All right, here's our concluding slide. This will finish us off right here.
This final slide compares each of the 3 stages that we've discussed through these lectures. I encourage you to review the information carefully and make sure that you can distinguish among the 3 stages thus far. Remember that forming is characterized by initial caution associated with any new experience and an attempt to avoid being rejected by others. During this stage, group members try to be superficial and center conversation around historical events that do not have a direct impact on the group. During this stage, members must deal with apprehension, review member goals and contracts, specify rules, set limits, and promote a positive interchange among members. We've seen that the storming stage is characterized by a time of conflict and anxiety. During this stage, the group moves from the primary tension that comes with the awkwardness around any new experience to now secondary tension, which has to relationships within the group. During the storming stage, there's an attempt to balance between too much and too little tension, as we talked about with cohesion. And group members tend to be more anxious in their interactions, and power is a main concern here. During the norming stage, there is a strong sense of we-ness that comes when individuals feel a sense of belonging. High levels of enthusiasm and cooperation are also during this stage. Group members begin to identify with one another, and the relationships may benefit from hope, cooperation, collaboration, and cohesion. During the norming stage, Group members agree on norms, accept prescriptive and proscriptive norms, and there's a heavy emphasis on commitment. This serves to conclude our lecture on storming and norming through this review of all 3 stages thus far.
So that's forming, storming, norming, and you guys, if you run a real group, you'll go through all 3 of those. You'll have all of them. They always make them rhyme. It goes like forming, storming, norming, conforming, adjourning. Yeah. It's basically the stages of the group. And they say all groups go through that, where like you get to meet each other, you don't like each other, then you like each other, then the group's over. That's really what it means. But they all are taught that way. When you go to graduate school, you're going to be taught that exact same way.
You said the term was called self-disclosure?
Yes. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So yeah, it's you only self-disclose when it is beneficial to your client. Because they're saying you're like the counselor, the social worker, you don't